All right. It is 6:30. We are going to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I did that last time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Additions to the agenda. We do have a few. We are going to have a discussion with the Lister's office. We have also been asked by the town treasurer to approve an additional credit card be issued for fire department reasons. And there will be an executive session today. It will be for personnel issues. Could I get a motion to add those three, please? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Guests, we have Mr. Bloom. We have Brandon O'Donnell today.
Brendan.
Brendan, I'm sorry. All right. And who else? We have Mark Snow. We have Kate Baldwin. And is that your husband with you?
It is.
All right.
Oh,
So
I'm
we've
looking
got...
up there go, where is she?
All right. Chair's remarks, I have none. Open public comments on agenda items only. Seeing none. Department committee report. We will take an update from Mr. Snow on the COVID-19 situation, please.
I believe Mr. Emery will be providing that update
Yeah.
first.
I was trying to listen to you instead of him, but all right, Chief, you're up. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Snow and I conversed and we had conversations today, so we're in agreement with everything that's going on. As far as the COVID goes, Vermont is increasing, unfortunately. However, you're seeing an increase across the country. Vermont, as of today, is predicting that we're going to see a fairly substantial increase by the mid-November. And I think that's partially because they're saying the flu season is obviously here. What they think is going to be part of it is the holidays, with people now moving and coming back home, or college kids coming home. And so they're asking that everyone be very familiar and pay attention to the restrictions that they have. So depending on where you're coming from or where you're going, there may be some restrictions that you're going to have. So look at the map, go on the health department's website, look at the travel map, and make your calls from there. Contact tracing has still been very effective in the state of Vermont. If you've been to any gatherings, and public gatherings, most of them are having you sign in, or they require tickets with your names on them. So that's happening still. So that is a big part of why Vermont's being successful. And again, I talked to Dr. Irwin today from the health department, and he said the same thing that we all have heard and we're sick of hearing, but washing your hands, wearing a mask, social distancing is the key to the whole thing right now. There is not a vaccine. It's anticipated there may be one around the first of the year, but until that happens, and then that's going to take time for that to happen. So I'm going to remind everyone, if you haven't got your flu shot, don't hesitate to contact your physician, your pharmacy, or wherever you go, and get your flu shot. That will certainly help you in the long run. Earlier, I was mentioning that questions on ventilation systems. Ventilation systems in the state of Vermont are in healthcare facilities and schools. There's no requirement in any other agency yet for mandatory ventilation systems. And what it comes back down to is the number of gatherings, social distancing, masks, and hand washing. So that's where that whole thing is. I don't have anything else to offer. I will answer questions or turn it over to Mr. Snow.
Mark, do you have anything to add before we open it up for questions? Mary Lynn joined us as well.
He's muted and talking.
Mark, can you unmute yourself?
There I go. How's
All
that?
right, that's much better.
I was on a roll too.
Yeah.
Just a couple things. One is that the Vermont governor did extend the state of emergency to November 15th at this time. So the state of emergency remains in effect. And just like to repeat what Dave said in regards to people wearing their mask, practicing social distance, and washing their hands. Those are really three basic steps in maintaining low numbers and our own health. And the last thing is that they are recommending that people do get their flu shots more than ever for this year. So that's the message from the health department.
Any questions for Mark or Chief Emery? Seeing none. Oh,
Top left.
Brendan.
I apologize. I was waving goodbye to someone who's leaving the office to go.
oh, okay, all right. Tell them we said goodbye as well.
Will do.
All right. Mr. Snow, we are all set with you, sir. We do get the privilege of keeping Chief Emery around for one more go here. So thank you for coming out, Mark. Next,
Thank you. Have a nice night.
you as well. Next, we will have an update from Chief Emery in regards to the Fire Department Advisory Committee, please.
All right, well, the advisory committee, as you know, was appointed by you. We have had 2 meetings. We met last Thursday and we organized ourselves into a group. I was elected as chairman and Marilyn is our clerk. So we're keeping accurate minutes and stuff that we're talking about. The first meeting was kind of to get us back into the service, and we toured the firehouse and found some stuff that needed to be fixed immediately and some stuff that we put on our list. We're meeting every single Thursday at 6 to 8:30 is our goal to get out by 8:30. However, that's usually just a goal. So the meetings are open to the public. We're at the firehouse. So that's happened. Our priority is to get a fire chief on board with us so that the fire chief can be part of the decision process that we're going. We did set a kind of a target date for ourselves, and our target date is to hopefully have a whole bunch of this done and maybe some sort of a well-organized by January 1st. That's the target date that we're looking at. However, depending on weather and COVID and all of the other stuff that hinders groups from meeting, we are starting, we've done some subgroups, and the subgroups are doing some interviews of fire personnel. That's going to be starting next week sometime. We'll be making appointments for them to come in and talk with the subgroup versus all of us. And once we formulate that whole list, we'll come back to you all and talk about where you all want to go with that. And that's kind of just the nutshell. Unfortunately, you're probably going to find us coming back and saying that we need to upgrade some equipment and testing of equipment, and It may cost a little bit more than you had anticipated, but it's looking good. The committee's 100% positive. We're feeling like this is going to be a really good thing when we're out of it. So that's where we are. And any questions? I'm here. If you have anything, you can call me, email me. It's at Vernon EMD at Gmail. Or you can come to the meetings. And anybody's welcome. And so if you have something that you want us to bring up, don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Mary Lynn, do you have anything to add to that? I'm sorry, I just cut you off, Gene.
No,
No, I've contacted several people yesterday and set them up for to meet with the committee. So we have several interviews already scheduled, and I think we're moving along pretty well.
Perfect. Any questions for either of the committee members? Go ahead.
oh, how many committee members are there?
Oh, I think it's 7.
Yes, yep, 7.
Okay,
It is at
That's
7. I can tell you who they are if you want.
that's okay. And I had one more question.
Okay.
Your January 1 target date, is that to have an active fire department or just to get through like your to-do list that you?
What we're hoping is that we may not be active 100% then, but we will be well on our way to having an active fire department. That's our goal. And if if they progress where they could, we could be back online. But right now, our goal is to have that ball in a ball and it's ready to get rolling, so.
We have a pretty good list of priorities, and I think we put the priorities in a good order to kind of get on that track so that we can get the department up and functioning. So.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, David, it might be actually nice to publicly mention who's on the committee.
Absolutely.
And second question is, at this point, do you have any idea when you would come back with some kind of budget figures for us to?
The chairman gave me a copy of the fire department budget, and we're reviewing that on Thursday.
Okay.
So
And you guys are on our budget schedule for the 4th of November.
November, yeah. So it's myself, Chief Jared Bristol, he's the fire chief in Guilford, Chief Michael Bacassi, he's the fire chief in Brattleboro, Mary Lynn Sherlin, who's a resident of Vernon, Alex Dunkley, a resident and past member of the fire department, Chris LaFlamme, who is a resident of Vernon and past in on the Guilford Fire Department, and Jason Boudre, who works at Vernon Green as a RN, and his fire experience is with Shelburne Falls, Mass. It's a pretty good active group.
Chief, do you think that at the November 4th meeting, you would have an idea of equipment needs? Our consensus is that that's probably going to end up coming out of the emergency, out of the capital that way, because of how expensive that kind of stuff is. Would we be able to have some type of guidance on that for the 4th?
Maybe,
Okay.
but what it's going to require is a significant review of the equipment that they have.
Sure.
And cataloging all that. In the fire service, as you know, but just for everyone, equipment and a lot of the stuff that they use have dates on them, and they can only be used for a certain period of time, and they have to be replaced. Even if it looks brand new, that equipment has to be replaced. Air packs and stuff like that have to be tested annually, and that comes with a fee, obviously. So there's a lot of stuff like an inventory that we need to do to get us up to speed, and I think some of that's been done. So we will certainly try to at least have a preliminary thing for you.
Sure. Perfect. Awesome. Any other questions?
Just one last one.
No, go ahead.
I'm pretty talkative tonight.
Wow, must have just come back from vacation or
Yeah.
something.
I guess, you know, you talked about replacing equipment and something that's outdated and so forth. Would you also look at some equipment that, for long-term strategy, like, we don't really need to replace this?
Uh-huh. Yep. I think that when we're done, part of what we will do is talk about long-term replacement stuff.
Yeah.
However, we're more into the short term right now, and the long term will come probably after the January deadline, or January target date that we have. But we're hoping that when we're done, we'll be able to work with the
Capital plan.
capital plan and fit things in that capital plan so we don't see it all come to us all of a sudden. So we're going to replace so many pieces of equipment and gear and air packs, and so that's our goal.
Thanks.
Now, with that January 1st goal in mind, that the residents would still start to see movement around the station. I mean, it's realistic that there's still going to be things that are happening. We're just not, they're not on a full response by that point. So I guess where I'm headed with that is a lot of what you guys are doing is really breaking this down to the basics again, looking at the standard operating procedures and guidelines and job descriptions, and you're really going through that entire department to make sure that it's reorganized and structured in a way that is successful moving forward. Is that fair?
That's fair to say.
fair.
That's where we're starting with job descriptions. We will look at standard operating guidelines, and we'll work through those because those are a big part. Your EMS side is up and running. However, it still needs some tweaking. It needs some, and I met with Zach yesterday. And Zach is coming to our meeting on Thursday to give us updates, and he'll be a regular, and we'll be part of what he does also. The fire department and the EMS side need to be one, not two separate organizations. So we will make sure that all melds together and that it feels right. But we're still new, you know, our 2 meetings, we've exhausted ourselves each night, and I think every time we'll get a little bit better at it, and a little bit more gets done every time, and more people we can share some of this stuff as we pull them together. We're feeling good about that.
Awesome. Do you think that a monthly update from you guys is reasonable request for the select board?
Well, we would prefer not to come here at all. But no, I think that's very reasonable, that I'm here doing the COVID stuff, so I'd be happy to bring you up to speed. However, I'm probably not gonna spend all the hours that we spend talking about the small stuff that you really don't care about. So,
Fair enough.
okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Chief Emery? Seeing none, thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Approval of the October 6th regular meeting, and can we do October 6th and 7th together? Any objections to that? So we would be looking to approve the minutes from October 6th regular meeting, October 7th budget meeting.
Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes of the October 6th regular meeting and the October 7th budget meeting, as written.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
And 1 abstention. Bills and warrants, please.
I move that we approve payment of the following warrants. 8T, accounts payable, $1,167. Let's start that over again. $1,167,603.89. 40S payroll, $7,263.17. And 41S payroll, $7,029.57.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? All right. Discussion with the listers. Carol, you wanna fill us in here?
As far as the, well, I think I would like to defer to Brendan.
That is perfectly fine. Brendan, you have the floor here. Miss Hammond has pointed this over to you, so.
Sure. Before we discuss that, since this concerns litigation and attorney-client privilege between the town and myself, I'd ask for the board to vote to move into an executive session for this purpose.
Mr. Chairman, I move that requires two motions.
Okay.
I move that the board go into executive session with the listers and Brendan O'Donnell on pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party.
Second.
And Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter executive session to discuss this pending or probable civil litigation.
Second.
And were the listers included on
Yes,
the? Okay.
the listers and Brendan.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in executive session. All right. We went into executive session at 6:51. We came out at 7:05. No action was taken.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I make a motion to pursue consolidation with West Rutland.
Second.
Moved and seconded to pursue consolidation with West Rutland. My lord. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Perfect. All right, listers, thank you for joining us this evening.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. All right. Next, we received a resignation from the capital plan from Miss Rita Mudd.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the resignation of Rita Mudd from the capital plan with regrets.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept Rita Mudd's resignation from the capital plan committee with regrets. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Next, we have been asked by the town treasurer to approve an additional credit card to be used by the EMS chief of the fire department. That has been previously used for things like cleaning supplies, things that they need for around the station. She did try to authorize that, but the bank did say that they needed authorization from the select board. I would also be curious if we should be asking them to, unless Cindy has the other one in her possession, that we would cancel the other card and request two new ones, and that way when there is a chief there, we have a new credit card that nobody knows the credit card number for.
I think the previous one needs to be canceled and a new number issued.
Okay, so I would be looking for a motion to give,
Motion to issue EMS chief a credit card and cancel old fire chief credit card.
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Perfect. We have been getting a few requests about petitions to get things put into town meeting this year. And I'm thinking it makes the most sense to waive that requirement this year because of COVID and the inability for people to do that this year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to do away with the petition requirements to get on the town meeting agenda this year. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Fantastic. Public participation on non-agenda items only. What's that?
Skip and beat.
Yep. Seeing none, we are going to need to go into another executive session, and that one will include Ms. Harrison.
Mr. Chair, move that we go into executive session with Ms. Harrison on the appointment, employment, or evaluation of public officer employee.
Second.
Moved and seconded to enter executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are in executive session at 7:09.